A standout point for me that Bruce made was when he responded to my question, and he explained that a big piece of advice that you would give someone in music starting out would be to just not care what people think of you. Because he had a opportunity at the start of his career where he was offered a front cover piece in Time magazine, and that was not really solely music based at the time, and he'd never been part of a more serious magazine before. It was always just music related, and he was worried what people might think of him or the impression it might give, but he took the opportunity because he realised that that didn't matter and he needed to just do what he was doing. My initial reaction to seeing Bruce in person was just, I was completely shocked, and it felt like he was a hologram because I'd only seen him on telly or on photos or whatever, and he's such a household name that I was just I couldn't believe he was actually there. I came out of the talk feeling really inspired by everything he said, because his whole speech was really, really moving. Every answer he gave to everybody's questions was really from the heart, and he really meant every word he was saying. And I also felt a bit challenged because I felt like I needed to get up and do something. I felt like I had to start now. He also spoke really highly of LIPA as an institution, as the uni, also the sixth form. So I felt proud to be attending the sixth form, and also really influenced me to go to the uni based on how he spoke about it. A story that really stuck with me that he shared was when he spoke about first hearing the Beatles when he was a teenager, and how he was at a bowling alley, I think it was, and he immediately went and rang his girlfriend at the time and was like, "You've got to get on this new band called the Beatles." I think that's just mad that he went from hearing them as a young person and being really inspired and interested, to then growing up and being around Paul, as we've seen at the talk, and also just the fact that he's where he is now as well, and hearing them and feeling inspired by that and using it for his own career. He spoke a lot about politics and wider society in the talk, as he does in his music and on his tours anyway. And he did relate it back to his current tour and how he's been speaking out a lot about the current issues in America. And I know that a lot of people at the talk were really moved by that and how he spoke about it, because obviously we all know about how he speaks about it on tour, and being able to hear that from him firsthand was incredible, because he really does stand out for his beliefs, and he talks out for what he believes in. In his talk, he spoke a lot about his own songwriting process, and he said that he finds it remarkable that in 2.5 minutes you can tell someone's whole life story. And it was really inspiring to hear him talk about his own process, where he spoke about how he tells other people's life stories or his own, or he can use just snippets of different things he's heard, and he uses that for his own creative process. And it was amazing to hear that. He spoke about how his main process is he tells a story, and he pretty much always writes lyrics first, because he finds that's the base, and then he can kind of build the music around that, because a lot of his music relates to the lyrics, it has a similar feeling to what is the story he's trying to tell. And you can really hear that as a listener, but to hear him explain that himself was really interesting too. He spoke about a few failures or challenges that he'd went through in his career, 2 of them being his first 2 albums. He was on a 3-album contract, I think he called it, on his label. So he did his first 2 albums, and they sold not very well in the grand scheme of things, I think, but at the time, because he was just starting out, he was like, "Oh, it's doing really well, all these people have bought my album." And he got a kind of warning from the label saying that you need to, progress a bit with the next album. And then he released Born to Run, and obviously that went mad, and that's done really well for him. So he spoke about overcoming the kind of fear of, what if the 3rd album doesn't do as well? And he really focused, and obviously it took off amazingly. So keeping going even if there's challenges.